How do you manage difficult employees in your business without pushback? I'm talking about having a conversation with someone on your team that you just can't seem to get to. How do you point out the bad attitude without causing conflict? In this video, I'm gonna explain why difficult employees or bad behaviors exist in the first place so that you can prevent it in the future, and how to fix it in just one conversation and release any tension. To properly manage employees that seem to have an attitude issue and not being a team player, you first absolutely need to understand why this happened. Generally, it's because of one thing. They are rebelling. Somehow, they have turned into this enemy in your own business. You butt heads, you have become someone who it appears they're trying to sabotage in the business. But consider for a moment that the real reason it can seem they're trying to sabotage you is because your business already, without knowing it, has mistakenly sabotaged them. Let me explain. People rebel when they feel like they're not being treated fairly. And people generally experience unfairness when their expectations are not being met. Think of a time when you went to a restaurant for a meal. You expect decent service and a decent meal. I mean, why wouldn't you? You're spending your money and taking time out of your day. If the food is cold and the service is bad, you might experience feelings of frustrations or disappointment. And it would be really hard to put on a smile on your face if the service asks for a big tip because your expectations simply were not met. Negative emotions are born between the space of expectation and reality. And the same is actually happening in your business, where there are a lot more moving parts and a lot more expectations than a simple meal out. There's expectations you have set. They could be expectations they thought you set, expectations they set themselves, expectations set by other people on your team, or expectations set by your clients. It doesn't really matter. All that matters is that they consciously or unconsciously feel that their expectations are not being met. Which brings me to part two. How do you have the conversation without causing conflict? There's three main parts. First, you have to have a conversation with yourself. You must get clear on what angle you're gonna be approaching the conversation from. Don't go into the conversation thinking about what you can get from this, what you want to say, or what you're afraid of. It just won't go well because it's not about you, it's about them. You can't be attached to getting a specific outcome. I know you want this to go well. Yes, they just need to do the work. Yes, they need to take responsibility. And yes, you've got other things to take care of. But we have to remember that as leaders, it's our job to make sure that our people win first. We eat last. It's just the nature of the role. So you need to go into the conversation with the belief that you will do what is best for the other person. We are lucky and grateful to have people commit 8 hours a day. That's half of their waking time to help you move the vision of the business forward. And right now they're just upset about something. And I want you to find a way to help meet their expectations, even if that means that they don't work with you anymore. Because there's a chance that no matter what, we simply might not be able to meet whatever expectations they might have. True leadership is making sure your people win first, even if it means a short-term loss for you. So how do you set up the meeting? Call them. Don't email them or text them. Call them and tell them that you would love to sit down one-on-one in the next day or so and get some feedback from them. Block 90 minutes for a meeting like this. We want to give them an opportunity to vent and flush out any hidden negative emotions and upset. Bring a pen and paper with you. It helps me specifically to stay logical and not emotional. Once the meeting comes, throughout the entire meeting, do not put any focus on all the things that they're doing wrong. I know you want to point that stuff out. I always want to do the same, but that won't be constructive. Wanting to do that now has more to do with you wanting to be right than wanting to collaborate. It's just not the right place. We will have an opportunity to do that later if their behavior does not improve after this conversation, but we're not doing that now. We want to give them the benefit of the doubt. When you start the conversation, introduce the conversation by saying something like, hey, I appreciate you taking time here. I'm always looking to become a better leader and run a better business. What I want to do is get some feedback from you and ask them questions like, what are some things that are going well? What are some things that are not working as well as you like them to? What What can I be doing more of? What should I be doing less of? How do I get in your way? What were some things that you were expecting that you're not getting? And if you were running this business, how would you do things differently? During this section, ask your questions, then shut up. Don't interject. Just listen. This is what they have been wanting to say to you. And this is some of the things that they maybe even be saying behind your back. Just let them say it to you and then listen. This is going to be gold for you. This information is going to help you become a better business owner. Now, once they're done, repeat back the notes you've just taken. Most of the time, they will correct some things, add or remove things. This is where collaboration starts. Once you're both on the same page, thank them and tell them that you're going to be putting a plan in place to make this business better and for you to better yourself. The magical moment here is that you are creating a space for them to also get feedback. You're leading by example. You were willing to listen and you were willing to improve. Now, they would be more likely to do the same. But we're not going to ask them about things about the past. When we want them to open up, we want to ask them about things about the future. Here is where you want to get clear on what they want. Say something like, okay, thank you for the feedback. One of the things I want to do is I don't want to put a plan just for me or the business. I also want to put a plan for you. Can I ask you some questions about some of your goals? And then when they say yes, ask things like, what are some things you're hoping to achieve being part of this business? What are your income goals? What skills do you want to gain? Where would you like to be a year from now? How can I help you get there? What about you personally? Now, once they share with you their vision, ask if they want some help from you. If so, ask them why they want your help specifically. So here we want to get buy-in. Remember, they joined your team for a reason. Let them verbalize it. Once you've done that, ask them what their expectations are of you. How do they prefer to be led? What structures throughout the day do they prefer? Write that down. And then the beautiful part here, you can flip it back on them. Ask for permission to share what your goals are. Tell them what you're doing and set expectations for what you want to see with them being on your team. Again, don't mention their shortcomings in this section. They can connect the dots on their own. Make sure you share structures you want to see, things you'd like to collaborate with. Have them write it down. All of a sudden, what has just happened is you now have all these notes that basically makes up a new agreement, a sort of contract. We're making it all about the other person and helping them get what they want. Think about it. If you have a meeting where you sit down, ask them exactly what they want, help them create a compelling vision for their life and their future in your company. They say they want your help, they agree to it, and they explain why they want your help. They tell you what they need from you. You tell them what you need from them. You just basically have complete agreement and clarity on how you're gonna start working together to accomplish this goal. It's just so hard for that employee to now show up for work the next day and not perform. You're now on the same team, fighting for goals that will help you progress forward. When they hit their goal, you hit their goal. And we're focusing on all the things that are going to go well in the future. We're not looking at what they're doing wrong. Again, all that does is they get defensive, you get defensive. We're teaming up and focusing on the future. And in just one conversation, we've just turned a difficult employee into possibly one of the best people in your team. So I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, click subscribe for more videos like this, and I'll see you in the next one.